All right. So we can continue that in just a moment. It looks like we have everybody here and actually in decent time. So give me your attention for just a second. Give me your attention for just a second, and I'm going to re-release you. So first thing I'm going to do is chat about a homework problem really quickly. Not like you have to get your homework out and check it, but I had a couple questions from people, and especially if you weren't here at Extensions, I wanted to make sure we reviewed this. What this statement right here means is you are drawing a marble out of the bag 50 times. But if you only start with 10 marbles, very quickly you would run out of marbles. What this means, this part threw people off. I draw, look at it, replace it. Do that 50 times. The wording on this is a little weird. So I draw it, I get a green, yay, put it back in the bag. I draw it, I get a yellow, yay, put it back in the bag. And I do that 50 times. So how you want to deal with this problem, and you can go to the homework help if you need, you can go to your online textbook, is make a frequency table and figure out the experimental probability of each of these values. So I'm going to pull that back away really quickly, and you probably can't see very well because we're not zoomed in. But you want to figure out what is the probability of purple, what's the probability of orange, yellow. You want to figure those out as percents, and then like we did yesterday in class, round to the nearest whole number to give a certain number to green, a certain number to purple, all that so that you have 10 marbles in total. We'll go over this homework later, but again, you have two business days to get stuff done. A couple people asked me about that, so I wanted to talk about that really quickly. Team role is really important today because I can be pretty darn hands-off, and I oftentimes can be pretty hands-off if you guys...
Good morning. Adriana Crane, please stop by the office for a moment. Adriana Crane, please stop by the office for a moment.
If you guys are rolling well as a team. One of the ways that I'm going to know that I can trust you guys to do this is when you come in and you take care of business right away. So who actually has out your journal, your toolkit, and your book, and your name tag? If you don't, make it happen. You need to get in the habit of making this stuff happen when you get in here. We have very limited time. Right now we only have 35 minutes left, and we have learned nothing so far. Because I have to wait for you guys to get back from Creative Start, which everybody ends at weird times. Your period especially, you've got to come in here and be efficient. Your toolkit is this. I want to review your toolkit, and we're going to make a little change today. So please get this out if you don't already have it out. Emma, would you be so bold as to let me borrow your math journal and show it to the class? Because yours is one of the most awesome ones that I had, and I made a note of that. So your toolkit and your math journal should be working in a partnership. So your toolkit and math journal are like best friends. Okay? So can I zoom out? I don't know where my zoom is. I think it's covered up. Nope, I am as zoomed out as I can. So let's be honest here, because I'm just curious and I'm learning how to teach this stuff too. Who's pretty much not used their toolkit so far? So, it's okay. So we need to start using this. And I was literally sorting tools at my house last night because I brought back some tools from family this past weekend. And I realized, man, this analogy of a toolkit is being lost here. We have all these tools sitting here in this book, and we're not using it. So open this up and notice the first few pages are learning logs, and then you're going to start to see stuff that is exactly what you've had in your book in those little math notes boxes. So if you've been using your textbook, hey Martin, why aren't you doing what everyone's doing? You nodded your toolkit? Okay. I mean, you're just sitting and staring. Open your book. We're going to, your book. Notice all my perimeter and area formulas. So I had people coming to me asking, how am I supposed to calculate the area of a trapezoid? I've never done this before. Well, it's given to you right here in your toolkit. Here's how you calculate the area of a trapezoid. So we are going to start to, and some of you that don't like spirals will be very happy about this, we're going to start to, in class, primarily using your toolkit, and then if we run out of space, in this space right here, we can then put whatever extra in your math journal. So I need you to hear me when I say your math journal is primarily going to house your homework, but it's got to be in there. You cannot do homework in the toolkit. Toolkit is only for class notes and the notes that they already give us. So we right now have had some homework questions dealing with mean and median. Right here, there are talking points and like formulas and help for mean and median. And then representations of portions. And we're talking about like 4/5, 3/5, multiple ways that we look at percents. So here's a percent over 100, which we haven't really talked much about yet. But we, on your homework, had some questions about scaling axes. Right here, and this is in your book too, but is a help tool about how do I scale axes. I look at how far I have to span and how many tick marks I need to cover, and I do a little equation, and I can get there real easy. Use your toolkit. So today, we are going to be working on page 10 here, with probability, vocabulary, and definitions. So this is what you need to have out. Keep your math journal out for the current time, but we're going to look at those and then put them away for a bit. So here's good vocabulary, important stuff. We are going to be using all of this today on page 10. So check out your math journal for just a second, but I really mainly need your eyes up here now. Emma was bold enough that she let me show her journal to the class. So thank you, Emma. Because now that I've gone digital, I don't have a physical journal to share with everybody. Emma's math journal like blew me away. And on my grade book that I keep a manual grade book like on a Google Sheet. I was like writing awesome for a lot of your guys' journals. And then on hers, I had pasted that into the box. And I felt like that wasn't enough. So I, in parentheses, put seriously in all capital letters to like, yeah, hers is awesome. So great notes on that thing about brains. A little bit of shorthanding and like notes that I'll remember. A couple things that I specifically asked you to have. Then we had our numberless graph. And she's labeling not only the date, but then like day one. We really called this day like day one of math class actually. So her book number, teammates, and then as we go, and I wish this would show the whole thing at the same time. She's really doing a great job. If here's her lesson number, 1.1.1. Then the homework, I redate that still, even though it's the same day, I redate that, and she headed what assignment she needed to do. Questions 3 to 6. Wrote her math journal. Oh yeah, your dad plays drums. Yeah, I wrote a little note here that I play drums. So then her other questions answered over here, and I think she jumped to 1-6, but then she has 4 and 5 down here, all numbered, all great. Our colorama game, notes on that. She drew out her own little colorama. Then we modified. We talked about what does it mean to be fair, so she just kind of put fair question mark. Okay, like this is what we're looking for. If you want an easy mastery or exemplary, this is what you want your journal looking like. Now, you don't even have to write the word homework. You could write HW. You could not even write that. You could just write 111 to 115, or you could just write hashtag 11 to 15, because that means numbers 11 to 15. But Emma's going above and beyond. That's how you get exemplary. So then all her work there. When there are parts to a problem, A and B, we specifically section out, this is 113A, and this is 113B. We don't just write our answers together. So when there's specific sections to the problems, we got to separate that out. And guys, this is what I'm going to start to be looking for. Your journal checks are going to be more and more specific as we get deeper in here and you learn how to do this stuff. So this is not a gotcha. This is we're easing into things and kind of training you. We can number the problems through class. So some of this stuff is class notes. Some of this stuff is homework. Then we had the What's My Number games. Again, new dates every time we do that. I told her journal is amazing. Keep up the great work. And then we move on to the next days. And I haven't even checked this stuff yet. She was actually putting the SLL in the wrong place. A few of us did that. And then we move on. We got new groups. We were collecting data with the height of the pennies, making that table. So you guys see kind of what we're looking for here? You just really want to be organized and clean and together to make your life easy. I mean, when I go back and I look at these notes, I'm like, oh yeah, there's 136, 130. I can easily get to things. She writes down the number set that we're using. Don't just write down the median, because then you're not going to remember how. And to get to the median, you got to put your numbers in order anyways. So she writes them down and put them in order. So anybody have any questions about keeping your math journal? So a decent amount of us got progressings and we needed to go back and kind of fix a few things. Those grades are in math now. So if you were here at Extensions, thank you very much. We told you guys to check math because there are grades being posted now. We are using our grade book. So please, please, please check math and stay up to date on that stuff. Meet with your teachers to get those things fixed as fast as you can. I think I had something else I wanted to talk about, but we'll probably cover that later. So everybody at your table needs their math book out and your toolkit out right now. I'm going to release you guys here in just a second, and what I want you to strive to do is operate as an efficient team. Now, I think I'm going to separate you guys to make sets of 4 because it'll work out a whole lot better. You don't want to just have 2 people doing everything. Trust me. So if you guys want to figure out where to plop down and fill out those sets of 4s, ask them what team role still needs filled in. As people are absent, we're going to have a little bit of manipulation with the teams. Stay flexible. Our teams are going to change a decent amount. The only reason I don't change them more is so you guys get comfortable with those teammates, learn people's names, all that sort of stuff. Then we'll change again so you keep learning your classmates. Your journal is also super awesome. I was debating which one to show. So just to praise you also. I had yours in there. Yours are sweet. So, check your team roles. I gave you a laminated team roles paper at your table. So if you can't remember what you're supposed to do as the facilitator or as the resource manager, check in on that. I'm also going to put it up on the either the TV or the smartboard. So if one person at your table has it, you can also look up there. You are trying to get as far as you can, but do not rush. So what I mean by that is work efficiently, keep your conversations math focused, and I can let you guys do your own thing for as long as you can. But if you keep straying off the path and you're talking about the football game tonight or what, it's not going to work if we don't stay on topic. So facilitator and task manager, you really have a job to do to make sure your team stays on task. Resource manager, you don't have a lot to do today except at the end of class, make sure the resources get put back how they are right now. Your bags are plastic because I'm broke and I didn't want to go buy paper bags. When you go to do the probability draws, act like you can't see in the bag. Close your eyes, something like that. We've got imagination. I figured I didn't need to go buy stuff when we had tons of plastic bags to work with. And reporter, make sure that you are writing down things really, really cleanly so that if anybody misses it, they can say, hey, reporter, can I copy what you have? Because if they're working and doing the trials and you're recording things, they might need to then copy your math journal later. Everybody needs to be writing these things down. So if you don't get it down right when it's happening, make sure you get it down later. Any questions on this? So in our toolkit, since that's what we're going to use first, let's go ahead and beside probability, vocabulary, and definitions there, and I need to see if I can get a digital toolkit so I can put it up here. Actually, I have a really good idea. I have the bestest of ideas. So what are we going to put in this little notes box over to the left? The date and the lesson that we're doing, right? So, will this work? Control print screen is what I need to do, I think. No, Alt. Alt print screen will take a picture of just what you're looking at, and then you can put it anywhere. So that I keep it in this file, I wanted it to be in the Smart Notebook. So off to the left of probability and definitions, you are going to write the date. What's today? 9/6. And we are actually in lesson 1, 2, 3. And if you want to write down what it is that we're doing, we're going to be modifying sample space to change outcomes, change probability. You guys will see as we go. But this lesson is really all about modifying sample space. Now, you may not know what sample space is right now. Yeah. I was going to try to fit it in, and I realized that's a bad idea. Check it out. The definition to sample space is right here. So instead of wasting your time writing it down, we have it right here. How convenient is that? I used to walk into a history class and our teacher literally wrote notes on the board for 45 minutes and we copied notes in our journal for 45 minutes. I learned nothing out of that class. I learned it for the current time, memorized it for the test, forgot everything. That is inefficient learning. Writing it down, taking forever to do so, doesn't mean you learn it. So please use your team to help you learn this stuff really well. Any other questions on how we're going to roll today? All right, I got to shut up and let you guys work. So you got at least 15 minutes on your own. I'm going to try as hard not to talk. Even as we circulate around, we may not say anything to you. Just know that we're just listening and trying to figure out what you guys are doing. So have at it. You can choose who wants to read. There's no specific team role for that. We're on book page 38. If you didn't find it, book page 38. Occasionally look back up at the board. We're still learning. I'm still learning how to teach this. I will occasionally just write things and not say anything. So occasionally look back at the board and see oh, what did he write down? Maybe I should have that. So your first question is 175. It's got parts A and B. So if you're labeling and you want, by the way, the reason we're switching to this new kind of setup is so I can collect either your toolkit or your math journal, so that you can keep one of them and I can collect one of them. So I will be checking your toolkits as well. So keep going. Sorry, guys. This is campfire something or other. Chocolate marshmallow. Which is probably what this is. Yeah, so you're saying probably.
I think, well, I don't know. We have to, it's interesting. Guessing based on how many yeah, so parts, yeah. It's the probability.
If you need a calculator, they live up here. Real quick, why would we have to put the blocks back? What would happen if we didn't put the blocks back? I hear some groups moving on to 176, and it's talking about you do it 12 times and you keep putting it back. If I draw a block and leave it on the table, what have I done?
Moving, so if you picked up green, then you remove and you
I've changed the chances of green, and I've also changed the total amount in the bag. So when 176 says you draw and replace, just like our homework problem did, that's why, so that you keep the total the same. So keep going.
Shirt, orange and blue. Is he on the color scheme today?
Well, how many did you count? That's right. If you need a calculator, they're over there. It is an even number. Sorry that it's not 25. I know 25 will probably be extra to work with. It's flavored like a snack. Chunky shop. Those are my weekend camping. They wonder why you're not. Stay focused, guys. But I have tons of highlighters. If you want to highlight anything in your toolkits, those like really important words. Remember our notes, we're trying to write our notes in here. For what? You can actually do it, but listen to what it's saying. If you were to select one block from the bag 12 times, replacing the block you drew between each selection, how many of those times would you expect to have selected a blue block? So not how many times did you, but based off the math, how many times would you expect it? So when it says expect, it doesn't mean do it. It means predict it. Probability is perfectly fine to leave written as a fraction. I hear some people having that debate. You can leave it as the fraction. Yes. Although today, how I'm teaching, I don't think I'll use them. This got way thrown off. I guess I should know how many are in here. We made these. I'm sitting here counting. I'm like, wait a minute. Try to get a yellow that you can actually see. Ooh, that one works actually with like a grayish background. Oh.
5 innings.
All right, real quick, let's bring it together and make sure we're all in the same spot and then keep moving forward. So, Zoe. Yeah. So I got my cards. Thank you to Mr. Smith. I will just randomly call on people. You can phone a friend, which would probably be your team. Check with somebody else. Or if you really you just want somebody else to help you figure it out, you can always pass. So I would ask you to phone a friend before you pass, though. So Zoe, did you get these probabilities that I have up here? Yeah, all of those? 424s, 824s, 1024s. Now, when it asks our probability of orange, so I wrote that 224s up there with question marks. Zoe, how many orange do you guys have in your bag? You had yellow, not orange. That's why I wrote that in yellow. And put those question marks there. So Zoe, what did you guys have for probability of orange? 0 out of 24. So the yellow didn't even get asked, right? In the 4 questions it asks you, it asked about orange, and if there are none, they say like orange is the mega prize. You're not going to win the mega prize because there are none. Does that represent theoretical or experimental? Did you do it or did you look at it? You looked at it. So that would be theoretical. Sorry, sometimes I just whatever, just anybody that wants to answer, just shout it out. So that's our answers for 75. Our probabilities, which can be left as fractions, or you can convert to decimals or percents if you want. And then it was theoretical because we looked at it, we did not do it. Keep working.
It says
Yeah, this is a good experience to carry it out. That is a really, if you were, telling me. We have about 13 minutes left. Do we think that if I just don't pull the group back together at all, that you guys can make it through 77, 78, and 70, maybe 79? 79 is additional challenge. 77 and 78, can we shoot a goal? Okay, I'll check back in about 8 minutes. Try to make it through 77 and 78. Oh my goodness.
Wait, two blue? Hello, teacher.
Hello. It's right there. I tried. Your second bag is on your desk. Your second bag is on your desk, sorry. I know they're not paper. It's okay. So we don't, sorry to pull you back together again, we don't have enough blocks to actually give you a whole nother set of these. We just don't have enough because there's 10 blues in each bag. So that's where I'm going to ask you to use your imagination. You know what would happen. The second bag would be identical. So you double the yellow, double the green, double the red, double the blue, double your total. So use your imagination for those sections of 177. Yeah. Yep, move to math journal. When you run out of space, move to your math journal. Because we're kind of going to use them in tandem. The big point is now that we start using this more, when you're doing your homework, you can be writing on this, looking at this. So you don't have to flip back and forth between pages. It's a better system. I'm realizing I have two different things, so I can look over here. And I like that these fold backwards. Really nice and easy. When you run out of space in your math notes in the toolkit, move over to your math journal if you need. Some of us write bigger than others. Yeah, really just the left side and the space at the bottom. Yeah, don't move on to that right page. We'll use that on another day. Not much conversation. So 176 is if you were to do this 12 times, right? So do we know the probability of the fraction, right? We know it's 10 and 1/4. So that is going to be probably every time we draw. So just like we did yesterday, if you take that probability and multiply it by how many draws you're going to do, you'll get a prediction for the outcome. Then we'll round it to the closest outcome. So you might need a calculation. Make sure we're writing stuff down, but it'll be easier to write it down than to get a check minus and have to go back and do it. Ah, that's no good. If a cube makes it out of the bag.
On 177? Word predictions use theoretical probability for selecting each color block in a defined bag. So we're pretending like there's two of these. So remember our what's on the bottom? Total. So what is your total? When you have 2 bags. 48. And what's your total, say, blue? Okay. Well, 175A we wrote out of 24. So now.
All right, if your team's still
yeah,
rolling, you can keep
is it
rolling.
really
That's
gonna
fine.
be
But I'm gonna write some stuff up here to make sure that we all have some of the same stuff written because I see some lacking toolkits, and we want to make sure that we all get the same stuff down. In 176, it says if we were. It doesn't say do it. It says if. Now, if you did it, like Renaud's group, I know you guys actually did it. That's okay. You can keep your experimental probability. But this is really talking about if. So, Francesca, if you are trying to figure out what you would expect, make a prediction for 12 draws, how would we figure out our blue, our expected outcome for blue? So, in case we don't have this, and you might be saying the same thing, to find an expected outcome. If you don't have anything written down for 76, I would definitely do this. You take the probability of that event and multiply it by how many trials you're going to run. And a trial is every time you do something. So here, there are 12 trials, and you already found the probability of blue. What's the probability of blue? 10 24ths. So that probability is 10 24ths times 12. Now, if I set up 12 like a fraction, this makes my life real easy. Because I get 120 divided by 24. Any common factors I could divide them both by? Anyone remember anything about cross-canceling or cross-reducing? We could have back here divided them both by 12, gotten 1 and 2. Or here we can divide by 12, since I didn't cross-reduce in the moment. And I get 10 over 2, which comes out to be 5. So our expected number of blues would be 5. Now, Rod, your group did it, right? How many blues did you actually draw? 4? Close. But there we see experimental came out different than theoretical. Any questions on 76? 76. How we set it for the 12 times. Can anyone tell me? Yeah, Marvin? So this is cross-reducing. You don't have to do that. But what what we're doing there is saying if I have a value on top and bottom that I could divide by the same number. So when we reduce out here, we're dividing the top and bottom both by 12. I can do that back here in this step if I want to, but here I didn't, and I just went straight through. So I said 10 times 12 equals 120, 24 times 1 equals 24, and then I divided by 12 on top and bottom to reduce, which makes my division simpler. Now I could just do this with a calculator, 120 divided by 24, and I'll get 5. But if we're trying to do it mentally, reducing the values with numbers that we know is the easiest way. Because I can see 12 and 24 have a common factor of 12 that both of them could be divided by and get whole numbers out. Does that help make sense? Okay. If we do this twice as many times, 24 times, what would we expect for the blue outcomes? What do you think, Alan? 10? Yeah. If we we do twice as many trials, we'll expect to get twice as many blues. Did you guys do it 12 more times? How many blues did you get then?
10.
So,
Wait, not 10, sorry, I mean 12.
You got 12 total? So, they actually swung the other way from their experimental probability being a little lower to their experimental probability being a little higher, which as you do more and more and more, you'll level out and come towards the middle. So now we talked about our bags being doubled. I have just 2 minutes left, so I just want to make sure that we all have some of these things written down. So, if we think about combining two groups of bags, does this change the likelihood? If I double the blue, double the green, double the yellow, all that stuff, and the total has been doubled, what do you think, Patrick?
Well, no, it wouldn't, because technically, if you still have 2 yellows and you have 10 blue, if you add more, it's just you're gonna have more yellows, yes, but you added more blues, which is 10, so you're gonna get more chance of getting more blues.
What's the original probability of blue?
10.
10 out of 24. If we double the bags, how many blue will we now have?
20 and...
How many total will we now have?
48.
Aren't these the same thing?
Yeah.
This is all the explanation that you need. These fractions are equal even when I double the quantities. So this hasn't changed. So the theoretical probability for each of them will actually be the same. If you write it doubled, it'll look different, but look different doesn't mean it is different. It just looks different. 12 draws. So if we all say that it doesn't change the probability, and we again make 12 draws, how many blues would we expect? Anybody? If we didn't change the probability, and we're doing the same thing we did before, is that a hand or a stretch? Stretch. Guys, it's going to be, yeah? It's 5. Again, it'll be the same thing. If the probability did not change, the same probability will lead to the same outcome. Because we did the same thing over again. Another 12 draws. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Please get your homework done because I'm going to check things soon in the next few days, probably early next week. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.